Welcome all to the NewCrown podcast. I am Darryl, and I am joined here with a special guest of mine. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, do I just say my name?
Yeah, just your name, your background. What do you like to do? Whatever, where are you from?
Sounds good. My name is PADILLA. I'm a JMSB student, currently studying management, and I have a lot of background in video and I would say entrepreneurship as well. Talk about that
Entrepreneurship.
later. Yeah.
So I mean, because essentially you and I do similar things. Just I'm more towards a film oriented avenue where you're more commercial. So let's talk about what made you want to go into the avenue in the first place. Like, what was the inspiration to follow that path?
I would say it was like starting a business route, like going to JMSB, studying a lot of business courses. I knew I wanted to do something related to that field. Marketing, it was something that I really enjoyed, and filmmaking. I really liked making videos. If we're gonna go back to the roots, I would say Casey Neistat.
Nice,
Like
nice.
what kind of started everything.
OG, yeah.
Back then in CGIP, I was inspired by like Humans of New York. And for fun, I would take pictures of students.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, I guess what started my like more businessy route was I started with John Abbott. I started with Humans of Jack, and I took photos for them. And then I realized like, oh, it's going really good. Like we got like posts that were getting like minimum 1,000 likes. And then we're like, okay, let's do this with other universities. So I would contact like Vanier, what was it, like Dawson. I would go to other universities, and then I would like quote unquote hire people, but everyone was doing it for free. I was doing it for free too. No one's paying me. And then I would get people and I would network with people, and then that's how I started learning how to delegate, kind of more marketing, and it was all for fun. And then eventually, I realized I was good with like getting like organic views, like organic likes, that some companies would reach out to me, and then I would do some work for them, and then from there on, it started. But yeah, Case and I thought was the beginning, and yeah, just basically turning filmmaking, my passion, into kind of marketing and business.
So how do you choose, for example, because you're often doing commercials? I'm guessing you're doing commercials, ads, and stuff, and like kind of promoting other people's businesses.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, how do you choose your clients? Is it like are you going for a specific niche? Is it more sort of whoever's available? Do you have friends? Like, how do you choose the particular videos you want to make?
At the beginning, it was really, I just stuck with like what I enjoyed the most. So it was like I like making videos for companies, and I did a lot of organic videos, like for example, making videos for like a grand opening of a store. And then I realized that like there was a big need for it. And then throughout this whole process, I was like working with one big client, and then I would get hired. Like I got lucky and I got hired with a marketing agency, and I learned a lot with them. So they're kind of like my mentor. They taught me about like how to find clients, how to charge clients. I remember like there was an invoice we sent. It was like $10,000 for an invoice, and to me that was like, oh my god, like I didn't even know we can do that. Like I don't know, I didn't even I didn't even know we can like charge $10,000 for like a project that will last like maybe 2 weeks, or actually less than 2 weeks. But it was just like, it was kind of like an eye opener. And what made me start was just like I would go to companies that I feel like I would bring them value in return. So for me, I was good at creating content and then posting it right away, instantly, for their Instagram. And the way I would pitch it was that the main way I pitched it was just my past work. I was like, oh, I worked with this client, and word of mouth helped a lot, and also just the results helped a lot. Like the content, luckily for marketing and even film, the content you put out, a lot of people are going to ask for it and be like, oh, who made this video? Who made this? And also, yeah, from there on, I would just kind of talk, and then it would start with like, let's say $500 or even less, like $200 for video. And it would go up $500, but it's not just a video. It's also like you're charging for your creative. You're also charging for like scheduling, like to post, and also like planning. And yeah, there's a lot. But basically it started with what value can I bring them, and like if I'm charging them $10,000, they must have a return of $10,000.
Yeah.
Maybe not this month, but in the future, they should have a return, a good ROI.
But how do you gauge that? How do you go about in like gauging a project and estimate the worth that could potentially be generated from said project?
Yeah, at first it was really like clients would go up to me and then they'll be like, oh, like I would ask them like, how much are you willing to like to spend, and then they would give me like in my mind at the beginning I was like, oh, I'll do it for like 150, I'll do it for like $200, but then to be like, oh, I'll do it for like $300 or $500. So that's kind of the beginning when I had like less kind of an understanding of business. But now that's where it gets difficult, because I had a conversation with another filmmaker. It's hard to charge for your creative, because I was hiring a filmmaker for a wedding, and he was asking a lot. He was asking $1,000 minimum for that one day.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh man, it's kind of expensive. Like if you're doing more, then I understand. But he was arguing the fact that he's like, we're paying for his his style, his video editing style, or his video filmmaking style.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just like it's hard charging that much or paying that much if they don't see a return. For weddings, it's very, very tricky.
Yeah.
But it's an investment. So for weddings, creative stuff like that, it makes sense. But for businesses, you really have to think very analytical, and you have to see what they get in return. So for us, like basically, like for what I would do for some photos, let's say it was a client I worked with, let's say like a burger company. They have opportunity to make like a really good offer, but they just need a good photo, a good graphic, a good creative to emphasize that deal. So let's say I would go up to that client and be like, how's your business doing? How's everything good? Like how's everything going? Let's say they say like, oh, sales have been kind of low. Let's try to find a different way. So in business, like in ads, we call it like split testing. Like we would have multiple ads and then see which one does good. But let's say that burger company, I would say, okay, let's make a deal of like buy one, get one free. You buy one burger, you get it one free. They would need help promoting that, marketing that. But it starts with the creative. So it's starting with a good picture or good video. If you're going to post on TikTok, you can film it with your iPhone. It doesn't have to be a professional camera.
Yeah.
But you need the idea, the creative, the resources to make that content, whether it be with an iPhone or a professional camera. Let's say they're a high-end burger restaurant. Okay, we'll do the professional photo because we don't want to do TikTok. That doesn't fit with their brand.
Yeah.
So we do that, and we tell them, okay, we're gonna boost this video or boost this photo to reach this many people. It's gonna have X amount of return. We're gonna be charging this much.
Okay.
But we're gonna handle from like A to Z, from getting the picture, putting it out on ads, and posting on your social media.
Okay.
And it just gets very complicated because there's so much different niches. And like, for example, like I mentioned, maybe they're a high-end burger place. Maybe they're not a high-end burger place. So let's just do TikTok. And then we determine, okay, should we go organic or should we go ads? And basically how I calculate it is that like a certain amount of views counts to like certain amount of like how much like it would cost with ads.
Okay.
So like organic videos, I would say it's a bit easier to get like 30,000 views, for example. That you can start like to get 30,000 views on ads costs like X amount. It costs, I would say, like you're spending minimum $300 to $600
for ads. You're using Google ads and Facebook ads, or using
Google ads, Instagram ads, Facebook ads, and TikTok. Not much. TikTok, I would just recommend going organic for now. But yeah, depends the client, but mainly Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
But basically, yeah, it's just like picking the right niche and understanding their market and putting like your foot on, what's the saying again? You're putting your
foot in the door, like put one foot into the
Yeah,
industry.
like putting like just understanding their perspective
Yeah.
on what they want.
Because I know some people, like for example for real estate specifically, or for commercials like Burger King or whatnot, like they're kind of their approach is very different. And so like for real estate, it's very much for to promote the building itself. And so like often the videographer or the guy who's going to be filming the ad kind of like wants a cut or split from the actual, like a commission essentially. Whereas obviously for
Mm,
Burger King, it's kind of hard to do that because it's like a massive corporation, or like for McDonald's, it's a massive corporation. So they'll probably give you a flat fee.
yeah.
So like it's that's why I was like wondering, like, how do you even like, do you choose a particular niche, or do you kind of like see what is available and what could potentially give you a better return?
I would say the third one that you said was like probably, well, for me, the way I chose my niche was seeing what I'm best at
Mm,
and kind of capitalize on that niche before opening up to other people. But if you're starting out, definitely like working under an agency or starting with a smaller company helps a lot. Like for example, we have a store in Halifax with a client, and there's people messaging me like they wanna like they really want to work with us, and they're starting to do like they want to. At first, they're like 20 an hour, and then basically basically they didn't have that much clients,
yeah.
but they knew that they were working with a big company. It was a shoe store company. It's called Central, and they just want to like practice and put that in their portfolio.
Mhm.
And I believe they chose us because they also like sneakers, and I think they live close. So picking a company that's nearby you and just giving a good offer that they can't say no to.
Mm,
Like 20 an hour wasn't like bad compared to if I were to hire like a marketing company. They'd be charging like 3x that.
yeah.
So basically, I like the thing is with them is like I know they might not be the best starting out, but yeah, I was willing to give them a chance, and that's actually what we're doing right now. They're starting next week. They're gonna come in store, do some content with us, and chances are when we post those content, there's gonna be people messaging like, oh, like maybe go into that store and be like, oh, who made your video? Or let's say like uh, a, s- a like a restaurant owner sees that video, like,
Yeah.
oh, who made that video? Chances are when you reach out to a burger like or another company and you tell them like, oh, have you seen this video from this company? We did that, and then they're like, oh, really? And then they're willing to
Yeah.
escalate.
Domino
So
effect essentially. Yeah.
yeah, so it's really like picking a niche that you really enjoy because like if you don't like if it's not convenient for you, if it's like an hour away, it's a company you don't even want to work with, like chances are you're just not going to enjoy
Yeah.
like editing that video, and it's not going to be a good return. It's just not worth your time.
Do you ever struggle with like creative blocks whenever you're presented with a project, for example? Do you kind of like, because obviously I'm guessing you also direct the whole thing, so you kind of have to like lay out from A to Z to, how we're gonna shoot this, what angles,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys make a shot list or whatnot, but like how you guys do you ever like encounter a time or a moment where kind of your creative ideas doesn't really match with the owners or the company's like vision, so you kind of have like a sort of, I guess, a mini struggle, where like you kind of have to set aside your own personal creative like interests and kind of like conform to the wants and needs of the company.
Yeah, I mean, there are some times because luckily, like I find finding content ideas is not hard at all, in my opinion. Especially like it's especially if you're starting out and like you're like charging a bit lower. It's not hard to find content. It's I would say it's harder if that niche or that industry doesn't have content at all. Like let's say you're working with like I don't know, like an oil company, like a CN Railways.
Mm.
I had a shoot with them. It was just like hard. It was just like, man, like I don't even know what they
Yeah.
want. Like, where do I even start? Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of like nervous because like, man, what if the direction I go to is in the right direction? So the best thing to do is just really speak with staff, like really like be very accessible to them.
Mhm.
Be like come in store. Like I know a lot of staff. Like sometimes it's hard to reach out on them on email, on text, but try to like go in store, really talk, have a in-person conversation with them,
Yeah.
because what you're selling them is not just a service, but also an experience.
Yeah.
If they like you as a person, chances are they're going to hire you. I learned that from like shooting weddings. Even like back then, like I used to work at Tim's. Like customer service is very important.
Yeah.
Like I know that saying customers are always right, but it's just like being nice in general.
Yeah.
You know, like thinking from their perspective, how would they want to talk to you? Really just like being kind overall. And
Well,
yeah,
so
so
essentially, it's a collaboration because you and the client will kind of like work together to form the image that both of you guys could,
yeah,
want.
exactly. And most of the times, if you are in a creative block, they're happy to help you because they
Mm.
will also want to know what you're up to. And you just tell them like, oh, like, is there a specific direction you want to go to? For other creative blocks, I usually go on like if I go more technical, I go on like TikTok ads management, Facebook ads management. Let's say their niche is like shoes or let's say yoga. I would search up yoga on Facebook ads and there's tons and tons of videos.
Mm.
Let's say they want more organic type of videos, UGC. I would go on TikTok, TikTok ads management, search up yoga. And also you can go on TikTok directly and filter like what's the best videos for the past week, the past month.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would say the creative blocks usually happen when I'm editing the video and like I realize like, oh, I'm missing some shots. Because that's when I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I fucked up. Like
So what do you do
like
then? What do you do then? Like especially whenever it's a big company, like you have to there's schedules in place, and do you kind of improvise and kind of like try to work around it with the editing, or do
yeah,
you?
if you're really down bad, like if you really don't have a shot, like you're just like messed, like you're just like, oh man, there's nothing to do. I'd really just come clean to the client and be like, look, like we're actually missing some shots.
Yeah,
Either you take the hit and tell them, oh, we'll come in an extra day, no cost.
the
That's our
cost. Yeah.
mistake. Just be really open with them, really transparent with them, let them know. Chances are they're gonna even trust you more. The fact
Yeah.
that you told them instead of like delivering them a product that's bad.
Yeah.
They're just gonna like you more, they're gonna trust you more. But when that does happen, most of the times the client will they'll be nice. They'll be like, oh, it's
Mm.
okay, don't worry. Like we'll cover it. It's fine. We'll still pay you to come back. Um, but yeah, but most of times I let them know. But if it's a big shot, like if it's a big how do you say that? A big a
Project.
shoot,
A big project.
yeah, big project. Yeah, definitely have a shot list.
Yeah.
Like from there, yeah, you might just take it out and like you'll just never work with that client ever again.
Yeah.
But
Honestly,
like, yeah,
honestly, it's the same thing when you because in a movie perspective, it's the same thing where you essentially have to produce a whole movie, and depending on who you're working with, uh, sometimes you don't have time to reshoot, or there's no schedule. Like there's a big scheduling problem, so everything has to be done in the particular time. So like that's why I always come in with a shot list, at least.
hmm
Like even if I don't follow it, at least I know what needs to be
yeah,
shot, and then
yeah.
So another question, like, how do you kind of like, what's your tactic against your competitors? Because obviously you're not the only videographer out there that's willing to do the same kind of service for these companies. So how do you kind of like match your competitors? Or I don't know if you like think about it like that, or how do you kind of like beat them, if you will, in terms of getting clients?
The thing is though, luckily right now there's a high demand on even like for me, like I'm trying to find other videographers. I'm trying to hire people. There's a high demand for content creation, and it's more the fact that like I always I have this saying in my head that it's easier to create a need, or sorry, it's easier to make a need from the client instead of finding their needs.
Mm.
For example, most of like let's say a car dealership. I actually reached out to some car dealerships, restaurants. Some of them aren't even just active on TikTok. So I would tell them like, oh, by the way, like I can see that you're not doing ads, you're not doing this. Do you want to learn more about it? I'm creating a need.
Mm.
Chances are they'll be like, oh, actually, like, yeah, you're right. Give them a good offer. And most of the times they'll like, as long as you follow up, they're gonna say yes.
Mm.
As long as you keep their contact, keep their email, just follow up like at least once a week. They're eventually, I know they're gonna say yes. For competition, it's just, the thing is though, like as long as you show them that you really want it, they're gonna eventually get you. Like they're eventually gonna hire you. There's a lot of people that reach out to me to work with the with the clients that I have. There's a lot of times I'm like, I don't really want this person, but they are like very persistent. And then eventually, like, okay, like you're showing me that you really want this, and I'd rather hire someone that really wants it rather than just paying someone really high because they just want to say yes for the money.
Yeah.
But for competition wise, it's I find it's like marketing on like like giving clients videos and stuff like that. There's a big need for it. So luckily for us, we don't really have an issue for that. There's always something to do in this industry, really.
Nice.
There's a lower production level and then higher production level. They want a big project, but it really goes about like the sale. And going back when we were talking about shot lists, one thing that's very important is being confident with your offer. If you're in a call with them and you're saying like, it's actually only $1,000, like, oh, it's $1,000. If you're like, if they see you're not confident with your offer, like even though you're good at it, like they're just not gonna hire you.
Yeah.
Like compared to the competition, that's how you're gonna like stand out from them if you're confident. That's why doing a shot list, being prepared ahead of time, will help you get those clients because you're confident in yourself because you know you put the time to do the research to find the content. So competition wise, luckily for me, like after you put in the work, like if you're just confident in yourself, it's not really an issue. Like there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of stuff to offer.
What are your tips on networking? Do you guys just go around and like restaurants or whatnot and just kind of talk to the owners, or you have like a specific? Do you go to events? Is there like a sort of, I don't know. You talk about the agency. Do you go through the agency to get networks? Like how do you go about your tips for that?
I would say before finding that, like I would say, if you're gonna network, make sure you have a stable portfolio, a stable website, something to pitch. Because I would consider myself a product. If my product is really, it's like it's not finalized, it's not built. If I have no product to offer, what am I gonna do in this networking thing? Unless you BS and you just tell them like, oh, I can do something for you, blah 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 blah. What do you have to show? You have something to show first.
Yeah.
So before you network, try to, I would say, have a little bit of work, make a website, try to reach out to like small businesses. For example, right now restaurants are too easy accessible. Like chances are if you go to like a local restaurant in Montreal, like a bagel place or something, they're going to be like, oh, sorry, like 10 people already approached this.
Yeah.
Be a little bit creative. Go to like a local small gym, for example. Go to like, let's say you like boxing. Go to like a boxing gym and ask them like, oh, can I make a video for you? Let's say you're in CEGEP, you're in school, you work with like a basketball team or sports team. Be creative with your offer. Try to make a little video for them. Put in your website, put in your Instagram, and then network. And then go to Concordia events, James's events. What actually happened? How I got that work with the agency? It's called House of Socials. How I started working with them. This guy, he posted on Casa James B. He's like, oh, we're looking for a TikTok creator. TikTok, like someone, a TikTok expert, someone that's good with TikTok. I sent him a message, and it was really like quick. I was just like, oh yeah, like I did this. Like I sent him like a bunch of works that I did, and then he just saw the work I did. Like I sent him like videos that did really good, and he's like, oh, let's go on a call. Like instantly, we go on a call. I was confident in myself. I was like, yeah, these are all the videos I've done, and I was just very honest and transparent with him. It's all the videos I've done. These are the videos that I outsource. These are the videos that someone else did for me, but we all worked in a team. And then he's like, okay, I like it. Come to the office. I want you to work with this client. And then eventually I just built that trust over and over. And he would just give me more work, more responsibilities, finding clients, sending invoices, and sending offers. But at the beginning, start local. Start with a small like interest, like I said, a local gym, maybe a local restaurant that you really like,
So small,
small
essentially.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say small businesses.
So how do you form your team, for example? Because that's like the essential part of creating your product. Your team is essentially the thing that will help you kind of deliver this product for this agency. So how do you form your team unless you do it yourself? Like
Yeah,
how do you form your team? Where do you find these people? And like how do you trust that they're competent enough to deliver something good?
yeah. It's just over time. I built this, like I keep everything in like sheets.
Yeah.
Like either it's Google Sheets or I use Google Notes. Usually, like either I'm scrolling on Instagram or I'm going outside. Like for example, there was a F1 festival
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
There's tons of people with cameras, tons of people with cameras. And sometimes I don't have a camera. I just go up to them and be like, I kind of just talk. I'm like, oh, like nice camera. Like, can I see your work? I get their Instagram, and then like, oh, like like I'm a like I do some video stuff too.
Mm.
Like, like I'll message you if I have a client. So I just built this long list of creators in Montreal, and either I follow them on Instagram, but I just have this long list, and I just save it. And then if I have a client, like, okay, I need something, I would message all these people, and I actually have them all categorized on like their prices,
Okay.
because some people charge a lot,
Yeah.
and I understand their prices. Like for example, the wedding guy, he was charging like $1,000 per day. I understand the prices, but it just doesn't fit for this project.
Yeah.
But I'll save them. Like I'm not gonna go against it. I'm not gonna. Maybe I might negotiate a bit, but that's their price. I won't
Yeah.
argue with it. But it's just a list that I developed over time. So, for example, for me, like there was another car meet in Lamborghini Montreal.
Yeah.
Tons of videographers, and you can tell there's some videographers that are geared up.
Yeah.
Like I know, like they're charging like 100 per hour or something like that, like something maybe more than that.
Yeah.
But I would still get their Instagram, be like, oh, like nice camera, talk to them for a bit. So like, yeah, that's how I would. That's how I would find some of my staff.
Mm. Do, do
But
you do you do you work do you work with the same people often enough in projects, or you kind of like switch off and whichever person is good for a particular project?
right now it's pretty. It's like it's pretty like frequent with the same person,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
would say, because chances are when they edit a video, they save those texts,
Yeah.
So it's not like sometimes when I have with a specific company, I have like a different guy for that specific job, because um, like it helps with branding. You don't want to have different type of edits,
Yeah.
and people see that like, oh, well, this video looks a bit different
Hmm.
because it's filmed by a different person.
Hmm.
But yeah, it would be per person, and it would be like subcontract. I'll tell them like it's gonna cost this much for this project, and it's gonna be recurring,
Okay.
minimum once a month, but more than that, probably like once a week.
So for transition, what is it like to be an entrepreneur? Essentially, kind of depending entirely on your networking and all of your product deliveries, and as opposed to like actually working like a normal job where you get paid constantly. Like it's obviously there's a kind of a uncertainty that comes in with entrepreneurship because you don't know when
Yeah,
you get paid. So like how do you feel about that sort of kind of pathway, I guess, if you will?
yeah. It's funny because entrepreneurs are really like I don't really say that I'm sure I mainly always say that like I'm like a social media manager. That's what I usually
Okay,
say.
okay, yeah.
And but it is like when I think about it, the stuff I do, it's very like entrepreneurship type of entrepreneurship. But how I see it is that the company they always need work. For example, there was one company I kind of slowed down some work with, because they weren't like they're paying a bit slow, and then I was just like, oh, okay, like it wasn't like no bad blood, but I was just like, oh, like just paying a bit slow. Usually it's like
Yeah,
on time,
yeah.
so we're gonna like slow it down because like I need to pay my guys too. And then I ended up just like being honest with him, like kind of talking in person, and then he was like, eventually, like in the conversation, he was like, okay, regardless, we need content. Like we
Mhm,
can't just post nothing. We need something.
mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it was just like finding that that need for that company, and then really like they eventually kept wanting like more work. But for other clients, how we usually pitch my sales is like we say there's retainers.
Yeah.
So they have to buy, like they have to sign on like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So let's say you start low, like $2,000 per month. They have to agree that keeps rolling for 3 months minimum at least. That's kind of low, but yeah, that's like for like one client. There's always gonna be work to do, and yeah, just making sure there's like making sure like if you're on track, like if you kind of do, if you look at your numbers, for example, and you see that there's a return,
Yeah.
like it's just a no-brainer for them. Like we have to hire you.
Yeah.
Like it's just, that's why, like it's just, it has to. For example, like I'm not going to offer them $5,000 if they're not getting that in return.
Yeah.
Like they have to get something in return, and even if they cancel it, they're going to need some form
Yeah.
of marketing. So just be honest with them, open up with them, and by the time you worked with them for X amount of time, their competition are watching. There's
Yeah.
so many other people watching.
Yeah.
And then you can reach out to them. There's no like maybe it's not even your fault. Maybe it's a supply error that they have.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm sorry. Like our management problem that they have. It's just something you can't do.
Yeah.
No bad blood. No like strings attached. Like just tell them it's fine. No worries. We're just gonna move on. Find another client.
I'm curious about that because you like if for example a competition of the client you're currently working with pitched like kind of like wants you to work with them. Do you have this kind of like this sort of, I don't know, disdain of like, oh man, I don't know, because like I already work with this guy, and then this person is paying me good, and I kind of stay loyal, or you kind of just like, oh, it's just all business, and let's it's
Yeah.
no like personal attachment to it.
Yeah. For some clients, I actually had to sign like
Yeah.
I don't think it's an NDA, but it's like agreement that I can't work with another company
Competition. Yeah.
in the same niche in a year. And yeah, for the bigger the company, eventually they are gonna send you something like that. Probably gonna send you a contract. I would highly suggest like reading it at least, or reading it with your parents, or having someone like look at it with you. But chances are for small businesses, it won't really happen. Like some of them are just like, they're open with you. Like, yeah, it's fine. Like you can go to like another restaurant. It's okay. But yeah, there's generally no issues with that. It's just more the big companies. But you will learn, like you'll learn the more you send these invoices, the more you work with them. But as long as you're open and transparent, like they're gonna work along with you. Like chances are these people are successful, these CEOs from these business owners, they're successful because like they understand the fundamentals. They understand being honest is very like like it's
honesty is the best policy, essentially what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you start a company on a lie, it's just gonna crumble.
Yeah.
Like even if it reaches like 10 million per year, like a big company that's scaling that big, it's just gonna crumble. And you don't want to work with companies that are lying to you, telling you like false promises.
Yeah.
Like that's why having a retainer, like 3 to 6 months, like promise to work with them. But this is for like big clients. Like these are clients that are like probably making like 10-15 million a year, I would say. But like small businesses, you don't need to build these retainer. Just make them a small video, and if they like it, kind of just go on from there. Because small businesses, it's easier to talk with the owners and stuff. The bigger the company, it's very hard to reach out with them.
Yeah. So what's the day in the life of a videographer like yourself? Like, what do you guys have, like a sort of pre-planned schedule where like a week you have a whole like cluster of projects, or you kind of just like on the day of, let me see if I could like chat someone and then kind of get a project on today?
It's honestly me, I love it. For some people, it might not be for them.
Yeah.
Like I remember like speaking with like a business owner, and they're like, oh, like sometimes like I just wish that like I was on payroll. Like sometimes I just wish like I was working for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's so stressful.
Yeah.
And I find the stress, like there has been times that like most of the stress I would say for me is like going on the meetings, making that initial offer. That's probably the most stressful, and then
Really?
delivering the product, and then delivering that two thing, and
I think
yeah,
delivery is
delivering.
delivery would be, I think, would be the scariest part because you don't know if they like it or not. You know, like
Yeah, because thing is the delivery, you can kind of know how they're gonna expect the way the shoot goes,
okay, yeah,
type of thing. But yeah, it's hard because thing is it's like first impressions, like meeting up with these people, it's a bit hard. But day in a life, I would say, um, a lot of times it's a lot of computer work though. Like half
mm,
of my day, I work from home. I'm at home. I'm just speaking with like staff and telling them like, oh, can you come on this day on this store, making shot lists. I'm on like Facebook ads, TikTok ads, and on TikTok like majority of my time
okay,
looking at ideas. Because after you get that client, it's just research,
hmm,
research, planning, and then going on with actually planning a day with the client, planning a day to shoot. But I would say like generally I'm like out in the field shooting like twice a week.
oh
And
damn,
then
really?
5 times, like 5 out of 7 days, I'm at my house.
Wow,
Like
okay,
I'm barely outside. And I understand a lot of people might not like this. I'm on my computer like almost all the time, doing research, learning, um, looking at the new camera that just released,
yeah.
things like that, Like and
Hey,
I feel like that's
I'm curious about
yeah,
that. Like,
sorry.
well, like, how do you like? What obviously you have a a main body that you work with, but how do you choose the cameras? Is it like trial and error? Do you kind of like go with the grain and kind of like see what's the best in the market and test it yourself?
Yeah.
Like, what's your process?
Um, it depends your budget, but like I would say, yeah, it's hard. When every time people ask me like what camera to buy and stuff like that, it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Uh, it depends your niche. Luckily with me, like with the agency I work at, and sometimes I work with other people, they have like high-end cameras,
Ooh, okay.
like like FX6s, like and above, like like that camera. I think it's around $8,000. I think,
Hmm.
but I like to work in a team. A lot of times, the videographers I have, they already
Hmm.
have a camera,
Yeah.
and I just tell them like, "Oh, can you go there?" Um, chances are they already have it, and I hire a specific client or a specific shooter for a specific job. Like if
Hmm.
this client wants food photos, I already know. Okay, they need a flash. They don't need a video camera. They just need a camera that gets like over over 24 megapixels and with flash. Very important. So yeah, I try to find and I would speak with my workers and ask them, oh, do you have this gear? And I try to be transparent with them also. Like, look,
Yeah.
like, if you can't do it, like just be honest with me. It's okay. You don't have to say yes.
Yeah.
I try to make sure because a lot of times I understand, like, because I was in that shoe too. I
Yeah.
would say yes to everything.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I realized like, oh my god, I don't even have the gear. I won't even be able to do it. So like I try to be honest with them. Okay, maybe you don't have the gear now, but like, can you get it for this shoot?
Yeah.
I try to like really open up with them. 'Cause sometimes
Yeah.
they don't want to open up to me, and I have to try to.
Yeah.
But for gear, like, it's so hard. It's so hard. Like,
I'm
so
curious. Yeah. What's your essentials per like obviously there's some videographers is like a main body, a second body, these three
yeah,
lenses, and then a tripod. Like that's probably their essentials. Do you have like an essential kit that you always bring with you anywhere you go?
yeah. If I were to choose only one, it would be A7S3 with a 2470 Sigma.
Yeah. 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 That's
That's
good.
probably all, or
Classic.
sorry, it doesn't have to be Sigma, but like 2470.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably all you ever need. A7S3, it's kind of overkill. Like you don't need 4K sometimes. Most of the times you just need like 1080p, 10-bit. That's
Mhm.
too specific, too nerdy. I would just say 10. Like you just need HD. That's
Yeah.
all you need. I would say right now, if you're looking to enter like a camera to get, I would say like A7 IV. It's probably
Mhm.
the best one to get. Um, just because it's like it does 4K, it doesn't do like slow mo stuff, but it has a basis.
Mhm.
Like once you realize that when you deliver these projects, yeah, like like HD is more than enough, especially for ads. That's why I don't like talking about too much about camera gear. I like talking about more about like being
Yeah,
creative with
yeah,
what you have.
yeah,
Because there are some people that has like a $1,000 camera,
hmm
and they're able to produce like amazing things with it,
yeah,
with using like Photoshop, even Canva, and just being like creative with the text they use. It's all about how you sell, but at the end of the day, if it makes you confident to buy like an A7 IV or a $2,000 camera, then buy it. If it makes you confident, do it, because confidence is what's gonna close the sale.
mm,
And I learned that from I was in Toronto, and this person had he had an FX3,
hmm
and then I had my A7S3, and I was like, oh, I like the way your camera looks. Can I just use yours? And then he's like, whatever makes you confident. And I'm like, yeah, I mean that's true. Like it does make me more confident, so I'll use it. So I ended up using his camera, but at the same time, yeah, as long that's why for me, I'm kind of a numbers person. When I see the numbers do well
yeah.
for my past clients, it makes me confident, and it's easier to close future clients.
It's not the gear that makes the product. Essentially, it's the person behind using the gear.
Exactly. Even for every business, what makes a business is it's the people in the company.
Yeah. So
So
what is your career goal as a videographer? What is your are you trying to be a Peter McKinnon? Are you trying to go for like high end commercials with the Nikes and all of them of the world, or what's your career path? Where's your career path heading? Essentially, your end goal.
I mean, I might be very cheesy and say like I want to inspire a lot of people, but one
Don't
one person
don't we all? Don't we all?
one person that I really look up to is Stephen Barrett. I believe that's his name, but his he had like a social media agency,
hmm
and he was he has a podcast called Diary of CEO, and he talks about how um like yeah, like the entrepreneurship, like it really it's I find it for me like I feel like I'm helping people, guiding them away, and like working alongside, and that's why being honest is very big on me, very like very important to me. But at the end goal of it, I would just say like giving good knowledge to
mm
companies. I would say like yeah, like having a transparent company, because yeah, I mean like every company has like a story or has something to market, to show,
hmm hmm
and I want to be that middle ground company that's able to have like able to let them express
Nice.
whatever deal they have or vision they have in their company, and let them do it
Yeah.
like the best efficient way, cost efficient way too, and yeah, just overall just be a good marketing agency.
Did you incorporate your company already, or is it you're still doing it as a sole proprietorship?
I'm it's I believe it's sole proprietorship. Like it's still
Okay, okay, okay.
I have the like it's just numbers, my name right now.
I know,
It's
man.
not
Like
the
you could have you have a numbered name, but you could also like, is it incorporated, or are you just like, because if you incorporate, obviously it's a different, it's a different entity in itself. So like,
yeah, I know what I mean. Right now I do a lot of invoices. Yeah, it's all under my name, because it's really complicated, because my mom's a financial advisor, and she
yeah.
actually handles a lot of it for me.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But yeah, actually, luckily for me, and I think that's how it all started too. Is just
Mm,
my mom was really good with understanding how money works,
yeah.
and yeah, it really helped
So
me a lot understanding.
so I'm curious actually about that. Like, how did your parents, like, were your parents very very lenient towards you pursuing the path that you're taking on right now, or were they more like very traditional in terms of like the career path, maybe being a business owner or whatnot, or like be a lawyer, the
Yeah, yeah,
Asian path?
I actually really like this question. Yeah, so basically, my mom, she went the traditional path. She was. I'm actually born in the Philippines. My mom's
Mm,
born in the Philippines too,
mhm,
and I moved here when I was one. She did like her high education in the Philippines and stuff, and then here she took the exam to be a financial advisor, and a lot of people in her company like were like went to school to become a lawyer, to become a doctor, and then all eventually became a financial advisor.
mhm,
So it kind of opened her eyes that like, okay, like you don't need to go to school to become like successful.
Mhm.
So she's kind of like, she understands that. So luckily for me, I was able to slow down my studies and kind of work on this, and she was okay with it. I know for some parents it might be tough, might be very difficult. But yeah, my parents has always been like, they trust my decision.
Right.
Like, I think what happened was I was true to myself. Like, when there was something I wanted to do, I wanted to pursue, like I made sure to do it. I didn't
Mhm.
slack off. When I was like, okay, this week I want to find a client, like if I don't get it this week, it'd be next week. But I make sure to be like determined to do it. And then my parents kind of saw that from me.
Mm.
They're like, okay, like he's pretty persistent. And that's how I gained the trust from them.
Mm.
Because actually still live with my mom. I still live at home. And they see that. They see that. That's why, luckily for me, any decision I have, like I don't have to go through my parents. I just do it, and then
Mhm.
they trust me. So like there's times like, for example, like this summer I went to Toronto for 2 months. I just like left. I just told them like 2 days, 3 days before. I was like, oh, I'm gonna actually go here for a project.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, as long as you like as long as you think it's good, I don't have to know about it. I don't have to know about it. It's okay, just go. So then I left to Toronto for 2 months. But yeah, it's just building that trust with with your parents. And sometimes you really have, luckily for me, I didn't have to kind of convince her too much.
Mhm.
Like in her industry, yeah, like you don't need like a bachelor's to do financial advising. A lot of successful people in our company didn't have to do a bachelor's, or they did their bachelor's and they didn't need it. But it's good. It's good having your bachelor's. It's good having going to school. It shows that your like your mental capacity, and it shows that like you're able to put your mind to something and then actually complete it.
Yeah.
So if you don't trust yourself, then go to school.
Mhm.
So because other people will give you deadlines and all that type of stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, for entrepreneur route, it's not as I know a lot of entrepreneurs that like run a painting business and like also lawn mowing business, and they're doing very, very good.
Mm.
Like they tell me their numbers, they're doing very, very successful, but they're able to trust like their own word. When they
Mm.
tell themselves, I'm gonna do this, they do it. But if you don't trust yourself, then yeah, school is very good.
Did you always want to be a videographer, or is it like kind of, yeah, like obviously this is like you want to make films now, but like was it always from the plan from the get go for a long time, or were you kind of just like, yeah, testing out the
Yeah.
waters and eventually fell into videography?
Yeah. So it was back in CJIP, back again when I was doing those photos. I bought like a cheap like $600 camera, Canon T5i, and I just enjoyed it. I
Mm.
loved it. I was like, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. But then eventually, the more I grew in that niche, companies and other people would ask me for more work, and I realized like it's not like I can't do this by myself.
Mhm.
Like if I want to grow exponentially, I have to outsource some work. I have to find um, I have to find other staff, other people to help me. And eventually, what made me start was like, I want to build like a big company, a big like I want to build like an empire. I don't know. I just want to build something big.
Yeah.
But the only way to do that is to make a good team.
Yeah.
Like you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I realized was like, okay, I need to practice on my people skills. I need to practice on working with others. And at the same time, one thing that's very important with me is like what's that word? Like happiness index, like being happy with your life, like making sure to just
Satisfied.
enjoy.
Yeah. Kind of like. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I enjoy doing this the most. And before, when I was working alone, like it was kind of tough, like just editing alone,
Mm. Mhm.
like working with clients alone. And then that's when I realized, okay, like I want to, like what calls me the most is working with other people, creating something big. But yeah, I'm still not as big right now. Like I definitely still have a lot of work to do, but most of it is stuff that like I just need to put the time in. I
Yeah.
just like, even if it's for anyone watching, like you know like what to do, like you know what work to do. You just need to put the time in.
Yeah.
100%. There's so much resources out there. But
Yeah. So this falls into my final question. Well, I think you kind of partly answered it. Do you see yourself as successful right now, or and what is your definition of success? What is your like when you have the idea of success? What is that? Is it monetary? Is it status? Is it like accomplishments, accolades, or is it more an internal thing, kind of just being satisfied with your what you've done in your life? Yeah. So
Yeah.
what is that?
I would say success is like ever since I was young, I was always chasing for this one thing, and it's financial freedom.
Mm,
I find, um, and for me, financial freedom was like moving out, like like having my own car and all that type of stuff. But then I realized like it's actually it's not hard to get. Like for me, like I actually save a lot of my money.
mm,
Like um like I can move out, I can do this and all that. But it was just like I don't know. I'd rather like travel more. I'd rather save up for my money, invest in myself, whether
mm,
being getting a new computer, getting a new camera, and then investing in yourself for because I realized that like yeah for like there's so much yeah just, like going back to what I said previously like there's so much to do there's so much work to do internally, but success is like just being happy with where you're at where you are, because even if let's say your goal is to be like having $10 million in the bank, if you do that in like an unethical way, in a bad way,
yeah.
you're gonna be on quote unquote successful $10 million, but
Yeah.
you're gonna be unhappy. You're gonna be sad. You're gonna be like, man, is this what I want? Like, is this is like I kind of call that like internal demons.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna be like on your head, like telling yourself like, okay, like I made it, but at what cost? You know, type of thing.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I would say like my definition of success is just like being happy in your environment.
Mm.
So like at the end of the day, like there's like I want to be financially free. So I would say it's like yeah, like building a company that okay, that's probably the best answer. Building a company that's able to run it by itself. That's
Mm.
that's what being
Yeah.
successful is. An ethical company.
Yeah.
But yeah, building a company that's able to run by itself that can generate at least like over 6 figures a year.
Yeah.
If you can do it all by myself without needing me,
Yeah.
that I found that's pretty successful. And then yeah,
I
it's
feel,
very
I feel the thing is I feel though like because nowadays especially like a lot of people attribute success with like money, like monetary value. The problem is once you've reached the monetary value, all you do is want more want more. But like that's very very easy because once you have like a lot, you could it doesn't really mean anything anymore. That's why I always ask. I'm curious to other people because I know there's some people that have more a deep meaning for success, kind of like an internal peace, kind of like inner peace, And I feel like that's also like it's very very important because at the end of the day, you know, you can't bring your money once you die. So like it's the best to like actually be able to do something good and you can live with yourself at the end of the day after you've accomplished all of your accolades. So that's why
mhm.
it's interesting. It's an interesting question because like it's very ambiguous. A lot of people kind of have like different answers, and I'm just curious to like see what your answer was for that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
there's a lot.
so I mean, so yeah. So any projects you like to promote? We could wrap this up. You have any you want to promote your website? I'll link it down in the description. And yeah,
um, I would say just message me on Instagram.
okay,
That's probably the main thing because there's a lot of stuff that's still on the works.
yeah,
Like the company right now, we have like we're so caught up with the stuff that we're creating now that we
mhm,
need to focus on like putting it all together in one website and everything.
mhm, mhm.
But yeah, it'll be my Instagram, just Matt Padilla with 2 A's, so MattPadilla. And then yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'll be
Oh,
like,
what's your answer actually for
what's
like what
successful?
success? Yeah, because you're a filmmaker too and
Yeah.
stuff too.
Well, that's the thing, because me, I have a lot of like I have a career goal I want to do. I want to, obviously make big movies that are successful in terms of box office hits, but also in terms of rating. And for me, success is essentially to inspire a younger version, or like a younger person to follow their dreams and perhaps maybe making movies themselves. 'Cause I know when I was growing up, I was watching, like Michael Bay, Steven Spielberg, and Christopher Nolan, and like when I watch their movies, it's like, wow, like how does this work? Especially
Mhm.
when how like there's explosions everywhere, everyone's dying, but they're not actually dead. It's crazy. So I kind of want, like, once I found out how that worked, I kind of wanted to do the same thing and kind of like create a story where people could be immersed in it and actually escape real life for like, I don't know, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and create a world where they could feel like emotions, and you could feel like experiences and whatnot. Maybe they won't be able to like fly to like LA, but maybe you watch a movie, they can make you feel like you're in, like, I don't know, like a beach resort or whatnot. And so I think success for me is very much to inspire the next generation and kind of like to I guess to help them kind of realize their potential as well. And so, like, obviously, eventually, we're still young, so like we're still currently on the rise in our career, but eventually
Mhm.
we'll reach the point of our career where we've accomplished what we set out to accomplish. So I want to leave a legacy behind, and when that happens, then I've fulfilled my my purpose, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, legacy is huge. Yeah, that was a big word my mom used to use a lot. Legacy is like leaving a good legacy behind.
Yeah,
That's why, like, I remember his name, Conor McGregor. He would say that a lot too.
yeah, legacy, yeah.
Legacy. But I would say kind of exactly what you said. It's kind of reaching a mastery in your niche. So like,
Hmm.
because for you it's filmmaking, making movies.
Mm.
So reaching that peak
Yeah,
level of skill, that's like yeah. It's But the thing is, it's like you have to trust yourself.
yeah. That's
So
and that's
yeah.
usually the hardest part. It comes with experience. Honestly, like you can't you have to fake it till you make it. Unfortunately, so you have to be confident. But even if you're not confident, you still have to have that sort of, you look confident. So like when I first started making movies, I didn't know what I was doing, but I kind of like learned as I was going, and thankfully
Yeah.
I kind of started everything myself. So like if I failed, it was mostly like my own money. I didn't have to, like, I wouldn't like take down someone else's business with me. But yeah, I know a lot of people when they started off, they were kind of very, they were unsure. They didn't know whether or not this was for them, and then they just keep going, keep going, keep going, and eventually you'll hit a certain point where you're like, I'm actually pretty good at this. Let's actually step it up a notch and actually keep going, and then evolve
Mhm.
essentially. I'm
Yeah.
curious also, like, why not take the film route? Why specifically the videography route?
I think it was just easily accessible to me, and then it was like something that kind of was easier to me. Like I
Mm,
always had the business mindset too.
yeah.
So yeah, but filmmaking is I'm not that level. I'm not that level of making like I can make like videos on like for Facebook ads and all that, but like filmmaking, man, like I adore it. Like I respect people that do it because yeah, I know I see the work like you put in, and it's cool.
It's a
Like the
headache.
creative aspect, it's just
It's
it's
a
just a different point of view. It's a different like industry, even though it's still kind of similar.
The thing I like about
But
filmmaking specifically is because of the capacity of having multiple different arts in it. So you have the music, you have the acting, you have
yeah,
the director of photography. There's also the what's it, the set itself, costume, and all that stuff. So it's nice collaboration between the arts, and like it doesn't limit yourself to just one specific thing. So
yeah.
it's interesting to see. All right,
Yeah,
well,
actually, I had a quick one thing I want to bring. I had a
all right.
quick conversation. Wait, sorry, do you have to leave?
No, no, it's fine, 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 fine. Go ahead.
I had a quick conversation with someone in Toronto. He was saying how because he was like a filmmaker too, and then I was like a social media
Hmm.
guy, and then there was a big client there. He was like he hired both of us, and then he asked us like, "Oh, what do you think is best?" And I told him to do it this way, and then the other filmmaker like agreed with me. And then he was like, yeah, like you're right. Because like, for example, if we were to post, let's say like Batman, like the movie Batman on
Hmm.
YouTube or like on social media,
Hmm.
it won't do as good compared to a
Hmm.
Mr. Beast video.
Yeah,
Because it's like created to it's a different audience.
yeah,
Like Batman would be like a movie like that, it's a bit slow paced for
yeah,
people on it's
yeah.
just like on social media, like it's a low retention and like it's a different audience.
Yeah, it's a different demographic. Yeah,
So
absolutely. Would you be
anyways,
interested? Would you be interested to actually make like a sort of Mr. Beast type video where you collaborate with a bunch of people and do a
yeah.
hide and seek, like the sidemen? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean those are fun. Yeah, I would definitely. either
Yeah,
make a video like that or participate.
yeah, I'm definitely game because I'm looking for some people who like to work with on those type of videos. But it's, it's very
Okay.
it's very hard to find like the people who are kind of who are nice in front of the camera. It's easier to find people behind, but like someone in front of the camera and kind of like present, that's a lot harder because it's obviously people have stage fright or whatnot, and it's
Yeah.
a different type of thing.
I mean, it all starts with the idea. If you tell
Yeah,
them the winner gets
absolutely.
100K, they're gonna go
Well, it's
crazy.
easy. It's easy when you have the money. It's easy when you have everyone's
Yeah,
interested when you have the 100K, but
but
we
yeah,
have no money yet. It's like, ah, damn.
yeah, it makes sense.
All right, man. So
But
we'll wrap it
yeah,
up. This has been the NewCrown podcast. I am Darryl. This is Matt, and yeah, we'll link all of the projects. I'll link his Instagram in the description below, as well as you have a website or you don't have a website yet?
I do, but it's not. It's basically just mainmedia.ca.
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Also, I'll put it.
Henry.
You want me to put in your YouTube channel as well? Because I know you have YouTube.
You can if you want, but it's not the main like selling point for me.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't
mean,
put much time into it.
you have good content inside. You have like especially for like the budget lenses and all that stuff. It's actually quite useful for people who are starting into the industry of videography. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'll send you if I think it's worth putting it now. But
All right.
there's still a lot of stuff I have to work on that one.
Cool.
But yeah.
All right, man. All right. See you guys next time. Peace.